And we are the coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live. Well, today on the verdant fields at Quonset Point, high in the hills above North Kingstown, Rhode Island, where, incredibly enough, we're standing next to an organization, Johnson Brothers of Rhode Island. They're a wine distributor who has managed to do almost the near impossible in America today. They have found a loyal workforce, and they just simply refuse to pay them. We've spent a lot of time over the last few months interviewing employees about the seemingly intractable hiring situation here in Rhode Island as post-COVID. And we find all sorts of businesses trying to find that perfect balance between salaries and employees, really opening all sorts of new conversations about employee benefits, what it takes to maintain a long-term relationship between an employee and a company, how important that is to them in the long run, what it means to them in terms of stability, training, safety, and again, a partnership as opposed to the old school sort of top-down mentality that existed in the employment world for so many years. We've interviewed folks in the past who are members of the Rhode Island Teamsters family, 251, 7-Eleven, of course, working in and around the fine folks at the Twin River Corporation. And if I can go Yoda on you for a second, deep is the stupid. Here we've got a situation where we've got an employer who distributes wine. They're fairly well spread around the United States. They deliver particularly Gallo wines. We'll find out a little bit more about that in a second. Two folks in Rhode Island, two liquor stores in Rhode Island. The way liquor distribution is set up in Rhode Island, you've got manufacturers, by and large, out of state, selling to distributors who then have to have an arm's length relationship with liquor retailers who then sell to the public. It's a very well-defined, well-structured with a system with lots of barriers to entry to anyone who would want to compete. That's another conversation. But here you have, in the year 2021, drivers who are hired to drive big trucks. I mean the big trucks. Class B, I'm talking 26,000 pounds and above. Big, long trailers, the type that when we were kids, we waved at and they pulled their horn for us, and it was pretty cool. One of the challenges I've found in talking about labor situations is a real understanding of what folks do in their daily job. So we're going to engage in a little bit of that. Joining me right now is Matthew Maini. He is with the General Teamsters Local 251. He is the agent for, if you will, for the employees of Johnson Brothers of Rhode Island. And then we're going to talk with one or two of the drivers to get a sense of where they're coming from in that. Listen, Matt, thanks for having me on, or allowing me to come on with your folks today.
Appreciate that, Pat.
Yeah, that's perfect, actually. So, again, I'm laughing because I guess the term is incredulous. You've got dedicated employees here who want to work here, are willing to work here long term, and employees who would be valued at literally hundreds and possibly thousands of Rhode Island businesses, and they've sought union representation. Your organization's working hard on their behalf. What's going on here?
Well, we're dealing with an employer that in September of 2020 of last year, Alex here organized the place, decided they were going to go union, a long-term employee, 19 years.
Wow.
Going on his 20th year now. The unit decided they were going to give us a call. They wanted representation for serious, egregious issues, load quality, safety, pension, healthcare, the usual. They organized. We've been at the table bargaining with Johnson Brothers since then, and Johnson Brothers has made it very clear they have no intention of signing a contract or paying a living wage.
So let's get the rundown. You know what? Let's step back a second. Talk about some of the challenges. I know you and I spoke offline last night, and you're a former driver yourself before you got elected as agent. So talk to us about the difficulties, the challenges, the safety issues of being a large truck driver in America in 2021.
Well, these guys go out anywhere between 10 and 14 hours a day, and they're on the street delivering. They deal with traffic, they deal with crime, they deal with people who are intoxicated. Oftentimes they make on-premise deliveries, going downstairs, they're delivering anywhere between 40 and 50,000 pounds worth of product by themselves. So as you can tell, that's a very grueling physical job, and it has a lot of instances where they could be injured or hurt on the job while working. So along with everything else that comes with driving from a truck, such as people running red lights or DUIs hitting them, they're dealing with that as well.
Right, and we talked about, and you know, there's this sort of sense of a dark humor, a gallows humor, when you talk about Rhode Island drivers. But the reality is, this is one of the most congested states in the nation. The infrastructure is aging, to be polite. The roads that are being repaired are thoroughly ripped up right now. I mean, this is a state whose highways can be fairly described as something of a moonscape. You know, and yet let's talk about the size of the truck that they're driving and how much, well, wine is being carried every day.
They're driving 26-foot trucks, between 26 and 28-foot trucks, tag axle, which is the extra axle on the back. They're delivering anywhere between 40 to 60,000 pounds worth of product. That product entails red wine, white wine, hard liquor, vodka, and seltzer. And they, on average, go out with anywhere between 550 cases to 700 plus cases on a truck, depending on the season and the time of year.
From what I understand, you have a pretty enviable safety record here.
Yes, this crew is top notch. I think when we sat down and discussed safety, I think in 20 years we had 3 accidents with this whole crew combined. They take safety as a big concern here. Obviously, Johnson Brothers does not take it as a concern. Many of these trucks are not well maintained. There are citations issued for braking, for lights, for windshields, for wipers, you name it, all of which are federally mandated by the Federal Motor Courier, which Johnson Brothers doesn't adhere to. That's one of the reasons why the workers called us.
Right. So you've got these 26,000 pound gross vehicle weight bombs driving around, loaded to the max, around local roads. Again, witness the moonscape argument. And I say this with love because I'm a Rhode Islander too. Heinous drivers in crowded inner city conditions. Now, you're delivering to liquor stores literally everywhere, aren't you?
There are 239 liquor stores statewide. They deliver to every single one of them in a 5-day span. They also deliver to restaurants, bars, which is roughly another 1,600 stops on top of that. So they'll go out with half liquor stores loaded on and the other half on premise. And they do that in a 5-day span.
Right. So, again, forget about the highways and the byways. Let's talk about cities like Pawtucket and Central Falls and Providence and Warwick and Westward. Well, they're literally everywhere. I mean, these are small. You've got some large operations, but you've got some, small local family-owned bodega/liquor stores here in the state, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. There are a lot of mom and pop liquor stores, like we like to call them, small walk-in type, couple of shelves. Right. They service them all.
Right. And so, and very often these are in crowded, neighborhoods like Arctic, neighborhoods like, again, 1A or some of the side streets of Pawtucket, downtown Providence, in the heart of the financial district. You've got all these, as we say, we love to say hoity-toity restaurants, but these are on streets that were, designed as cow paths literally 300 years ago.
That's true.
And you're navigating a truck. You can see it behind him. We'll do a little pan in a little while. You're navigating a truck. And someone's remarking, by the way, I wish these guys were my union. It's here. You can see
Hey,
it.
Give us a call. We'll make you a part of our
there's
union.
a story behind here. A local 7-Eleven.
Yes. Call us.
So, and what I'm trying to do here is paint a portrait of folks who work long, difficult hours driving large-scale trucks, which many of us think about only in terms of highway driving. Mm-hmm. On days like today where it's about 120 degrees out.
Yeah.
Right. So then let's go over the current compensation package. Give us a lowdown.
So currently they have unaffordable health care. It's a $20,000 out-of-pocket cost for health care, which is unobtainable for the wages that they pay here. So many have no health care, or they go through what we call state subsidies. So they're running the Walmart template, which is to hire you and then promote you, turn you on to the state subsidies, and turn you over to get state subsidies that way after they hire you. So in many essence, the taxpayers are paying for their workforce. That's problem number one. Problem number two, there is no pension system here. There is no way for these workers to even have a 401k or chip in and have a match or anything to that magnitude. There's none of that offered here. They give the state minimum, which is the 5 sick days, which they're mandated by law. But other than that, that's pretty much it. They do get vacation. As I said to you last night, they do get a vacation package. But again, where you're going to go on poverty wages, more oftentimes than not, they end up working their vacations so that they can compensate their wages.
Right. There are some folks who, see unions, unfortunately, and I'm a big fan of private labor unions, who see unions as, I don't know, holding companies hostage. Who's holding who hostage here?
Johnson Brothers is holding us hostage.
Right.
Johnson Brothers is the direct reason why we're out here. This union never had any intention of a work stoppage. It's never the intention of a union to have a work stoppage. We always try to collectively bargain as best we can at the table for the longest time and avoid this scenario. Why is that? Well, we go on strike. Economic things happen to people when they're out on strike, and we try to avoid that at all costs because there are hardships that happen out here. We try to deal with those hardships as they arise, and this unit has been strong and solid, and they're ready for that, and they made that decision. But again, Johnson Brothers put us here through their collective bargaining experience with us by basically slamming the door in our face and refusing to bargain in good faith and refusing to come to the table and negotiate a good, fair contract for their workers.
Now, Johnson Brothers is still continuing operations, correct?
That is correct.
And how are they doing that? And what does their cost structure say relative to, I don't know, what they were paying this crew?
Their cost structure has gone up quite a bit from this crew. It was actually cheaper to have this crew continue to work and perform their labor versus bringing in the subcontractors that they brought in. The money of these subcontractors are on 45-day contracts where they're signed on with the company. They're getting incentives for signing on. They're getting an incentive to complete the 45 days, and they're making $3 more an hour than the highest paid guy here. So, their cost has gone up. That doesn't include the security details that they've paid for to follow trucks to make sure that we're not committing any crimes towards their trucks, which we haven't. We've had a peaceful strike here.
Is there any track record? I'm not aware of any track record where Teamsters in Rhode Island have done anything outside the law.
No. We maintain a strict policy, which is we protest in peace. We're nonviolent. We're out here protesting in good faith, like we have the right to do, and we run a nonviolent picket line, and
right.
we stand by that.
And you're a strict adherence to the federal laws with regard to unions and how you organize.
Yes.
So we've got a situation where the company is paying a base wage higher, and by the way, you use subcontractors. There's another word that's often employed. We'll
call them scabs.
Okay. Yeah.
Scab labor.
Yeah.
Scab labor.
So I'll. How do I like to put this? In the words of station management, which is me, by the way, scabs.
Yeah.
They're driving. What has the reaction been from the retail stores out here in Rhode Island?
It's kind of been a mix. Your Douglas Wine and Spirits, they've been the most egregious. They're a very anti-union establishment. If there's anybody out here watching now, do not go to Douglas Wine and Spirits. Tollgate Haxton is another egregious employer, store who has taken a position that unions don't have a purpose and that it's all about free enterprise and working class people should be happy with what they get. We're asking you to avoid Tollgate Haxton's. We will be putting a list on Teamsters Local 251 Facebook page of the stores who are pledging not to take delivery, and we're encouraging all Rhode Islanders to participate in purchasing products from these stores. Marty's in Warwick is a good example. Great guy, stands by us, believes in everything that we're doing, has refused to take any Johnson Brothers product. Jordan's Liquors in East Providence on Taunton Ave, another stand-up store, refusing to take it. Haxton's in Warren Ave, Gasparo, she's signed on and refused to take it. So we do have stores that are signing on and participating and not taking their product, but there are stores out there that are taking product, and there's where lies our fight.
Well, in my experiences, it's been that most folks who are operating liquor stores, particularly those who are in it for the long run, understand that there's got to be a true partnership. They want safe drivers coming to their facilities. They want folks who've been screened. They want folks who are tested. They want folks who are top notch, because let's be blunt, the driver's behavior on their location is a direct reflection of them.
Yeah.
Now, which brands are at stake here? What do these folks carry?
These folks carry all Gallo products, which would be your Carlo and Rossi, your Echo Domani, your High Noon Seltzer, your New Amsterdam Vodkas.
Barefoot wine.
Barefoot wine is another big one. Avoid all these products and call Gallo. You can actually go on Gallo's website at www.gallo.com and email Gallo and let them know what's happening here. Let them know that their product, you won't purchase their product until these workers get a contract.
Right, because it's been my experience that many of the trucks that are used, and I'm not sure of your situation, but quite frankly, they're heavily branded with the manufacturer. Usually there's cooperative funding so that you could put a liquor brand on the outside of the truck. So these Gallo wines right now are being driven around Rhode Island by under-tested, underqualified, out of state, and listen, we're all Rhode Islanders, right? Out of state means you also, forget about the cultural implications of that, right? For a second. We're talking about familiarity with complex road systems, driving habits, driving techniques. These folks understand none of it.
None of it.
And so it would be like taking me and parachuting me into, I don't know, Denver somewhere and expecting me to instantly understand.
Right. Right.
And so everybody wants a balance in Rhode Island.
Right.
And we're a state that's unique because Rhode Islanders, what's the old routine? You can't do that to him. We're Rhode Islanders. Only we can do that to each other.
Right.
Rhode Islanders are a big family.
Right.
Regardless
Absolutely.
of ethnicity, race, religion, we're one big crazy family.
Right.
And so I don't think anyone in Rhode Island wants to see their brothers, sisters, neighborhoods, softball team players, church members, parents of kids you go to school with, any of that. No one wants to see them mistreated. And this, again, I'm a news guy, right? Or I'm supposed to be, I don't know. I'm not supposed to sit here and ask you questions clinically. How can you be clinical about this?
Right.
For the love of God, Alex, let's talk driving in Rhode Island. Let's make it real for folks, as Matt has done already. How hard is this job?
Very hard. The roads are very tight, especially like you mentioned, downtown Providence, Pawtucket, very old roads. These roads were not meant for trucks. These are one of the original 13 colonies. So obviously there were no trucks back in those times, and they had no idea that trucks would exist in those times. So these areas and these streets are very incredibly tough, but we do a great job. We're professionals. I myself have been doing it for 18 and a half years, so I know the roads here. I know the areas. I know Providence. I know Pawtucket. I know West Warwick. I myself live in West Warwick right now, and have been living there for about the last 10 and a half years. So it's very grueling, it's very tough, especially Newport. I do the Newport area also with all the tourists and all the people on the streets and the narrow roads. And I've done, again, Newport for the last 15 years or so, and I've never had an accident in Newport. I've been nothing but professional as a driver and for the company and for myself and for all the people on the streets and on the roads.
Newport at this time of year, and for folks locally who are listening, we do have something of a national audience because of some political affiliations I have. But and we're big believers in the free market, which is, by the way, Reader's Digest version, why I support private labor unions, because quite frankly, if manufacturers can organize to gain economies of scale and power in their marketplace, we applaud. If, in this case, manufacturers of wine coalesce, organize to gain economies of scale and power in the marketplace, well, we applaud. So the question I always ask, why can't labor? What we're doing here is not some nefarious scheme. It's simply a group of people organizing, having, if you will, a spokesman in the form of a labor union who organizes on their behalf, looking to gain power in the marketplace, and yes, to make more money for their families, for their children, for their lifestyles, so that they can enjoy life after what it's got to be. I can't even imagine driving to Newport this time of year. Holy cow. I mean, there you've got not only the crazy Rhode Island drivers, you've got the idiot tourists, run amok, who have no idea where they're going and no idea that most of Newport is a one-way street that changes every week just to make it challenging, right?
Right.
So, if I could switch back to Matt, who's the agent for 251 in this case, what are your demands? What are your requests? What are you trying to accomplish for these folks? So again, we can have a mutual respect, I think is a big part of it at this point, but also an opportunity for these folks to live a life that they deserve after working hard all week.
Right.
In a highly skilled profession, by the way.
Right.
What are you looking for?
The same thing the union's always looking for, to empower them to become upper middle class and to keep them from poverty wages and to raise them up and give them collective bargaining rights so that they can feel the power of what it is to be a union. The true power of a union comes from the rank and file. It doesn't come from the agent or the people down at the hall. It comes from the people out here who have made a decision collectively as a group to fight and stand up and take on corporate greed. What you see here is the true America, the America that we've been living in for the last 35, 40 years, since 1980. And it's gotten worse over the last 5 to 6 years. And a lot of that has to do with some of our politicians that represent us. And a lot of it has to do with some bad press that the unions get and some of the way we get treated. But ultimately, at the end of the day, being in a union fundamentally raises you up. It gives you the ability to be in the middle class. It gives you the ability to have a real career and to be able to call something home and raise your family. When I got into this union 30 years ago, I had not had any children yet. I had my daughter, enabled me to provide medicine for my daughter, enabled me to take her to the dentist, it enabled me to have her eye visit, it enabled me to have a living wage and provide food on the table for my daughter, and it also, at the end of it, enabled me to pay for her to go to college so she could better her life and have a better opportunity. That's what collective bargaining brings, and that's what this country needs the most, the right to sit at the table and collectively bargain their futures. And that this company is notorious for. They do not want collective bargaining. They don't want to deal with a union. They feel that they should be able to run the company any way they want. They feel that they can game the system and let their workers go through through the exchange and have the state subsidize their medicine, which is wrong because taxpayers like me and you end up paying that bill while they make billions. That's called corporate welfare, and that is wrong. What we need to understand in this country is that unions are a fundamental right, and they need to exist for the betterment of the working class people in this country. If you're not in a union, join a union. If you need help, give us a call at the local, 434-0454, extension 235. Give us a call, we'll help. We'll organize anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Well, again, this is, if you follow the Coalition Radio for a while, we started up really right around the time that the Porters Union over at Twin River had their issues. We inserted ourselves thanks to the bravery, if you will, of folks in 7-Eleven over at Twin River who took on and took pretty far the process against Twin River and Iona, who were an out-of-control organization who, I don't know, I hate to lump them in with unions, but that's another story. But so we're going to follow this pretty closely. We're going to bring attention to it because these folks deserve it. And again, it's part of our family.
Yeah.
What you're talking about here is folks looking for respect, decency, economic justice, and just a level playing field, fairness.
Right.
And I don't remember a time until I'll agree with you in the last 4 or 5 years where that all of a sudden that was a problem.
Right.
And listen, anyone knows that this network fires hard against corporate welfare.
Right.
And corporate welfare can take many places. It can be a $25 million grant from the state. It can be a sweetheart deal on interest payment. But there's also a lot of companies out there who are leveraging the presence of the health exchange in states, a variety of formats that it takes in states around the nation, and they're using it to essentially offshore, if you will, offsite their healthcare.
Right.
And I think we all agree that healthcare needs reform, but until we have companies at least being decent about issues like healthcare, then how it just doesn't work.
No.
We're going to be back here in the next day or so. Just kind of follow us. What is it? It's a 7 by 20. Are you guys out here 7 days a week?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a constant presence.
Constant presence. We're out here. We chase truck. We set up in the morning. We're out ambulatory picketing. We call it chasing trucks. Ambulatory picketing from anywhere from 9 till 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we go to a skeleton crew, and then we and we reset and do the same thing every morning. Or anybody and all are welcome here at 120 Moss Grip Avenue, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, and Quonset Point, to come down and give us some help, lend a hand, whether that's you want to drop some food supplies off or whatever you want to do, we'll take. You want to walk the line, you want to help us out, you're more than welcome to that. My assistant business agent, Robbie Medeiros, is here with me. He's usually here running the line. He's the captain of the strike. When I'm not here, Alex is busy chasing trucks, but we freed him up today for this.
Right.
And you know, any help that you can give would be greatly appreciated. Please remember, it's like you said, unions represent social economic justice for all. That's what we're out here fighting. These are men. They should be treated as such, and they should be treated as human beings. Right now, they're not being treated that way. They're being treated subhuman with poverty wages and poverty situations. One of the workers that lives here is currently homeless and continue to go to work, while the CEO that works here has a waterfront property worth $1.7 million in Mashpee, Massachusetts, and another home in Mendon, Mass. So there's something wrong there socially, right? And that's happening.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us. Again, we're here on the windswept hills of North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Pre-hurricane.
Here in Quonset Point. Yeah, I get the sense, well, you joke, hurricanes, I get the sense that these guys would be out here anyway.
Yes.
If you're a union member, I believe it's important that you stop by.
Yes.
And join, because, you know, what's that old line there, but for the grace of God? Right. You know, we saw unfortunately Stop and Shop employees take grief from members of the community because they wanted too much. Want too much? I'll sign off by this. One of the mottos of the coalition is, you know what you're entitled into this world? It's whatever you can get.
That's right.
Folks, we are the coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn free, civilly disobedient media. Today we're broadcasting live at Quonset Point. We'll be picking up this issue from a couple different perspectives until there is resolution. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on tonight, 7:30 tonight. We've got 8:30 tonight. We've got today is Wednesday. That day screwed me up. You know, today's Tuesday. Wow, sorry about that. Tonight we've got programming starting at 7:30, going on till about 9:30. A variety of programs. Pump up the volume, as well as Eyes on Pawtucket. We're going to pick up that crazy situation in Pawtucket again, talking about Officer Dolan, his case, as well as ongoing issues in the Pawtucket Police Department. We hope to see you tonight. Thank you so much.